Hey guys, it is MissSimReno. If you are returning to the channel, welcome back. And if you're brand new, I am so excited that you decided to join me here today for my very first speed build of 2023. I am so excited for the new year, not for any other reason other than sharing this build, to be completely honest with you. Like, it's just another day in my head, but I'm so excited to share this build. I have been sitting on this since early December. I think I finished it on maybe December 17th, but I knew that this is how I wanted to kick off a brand new year on the channel with, like, I don't know, a build that just felt very, maybe not necessarily different from what I typically build or what I've done before. I just think that the shape was so different and it was such a big build. I thought it was just a great way to kind of celebrate the new year. So here it is. I'm so excited to finally share this one with you. It is a really big Tudor style home in, I'll say, the countryside of Windenburg. Yeah, this is the Rustic Residence lot. I think it's a 30 by 20. And it's a really, really pretty lot. I love it here. It has like a nice little driveway. It's a little bit off the beaten path compared to, the Cottage AMC lot. That's another one of my favorite lots in Windenburg. But I love this build so much. I think the shape is unique. I worked really, really hard to get a shape that was different from a lot of other things that I've done before. I tried to play around with like the roof pieces to make it look a little bit different. And the roofing was really the big struggle for me. The roofing was really hard, and I was just trying to do something a little bit different. So hopefully you all enjoy it. I can't wait to hear your thoughts on this one because it is my pride and joy. This is probably one of my favorite builds that I've done in the past couple of months, and I'm so stoked for you all to be able to finally see it. So I hope you enjoy it as much as I did in making it. But you can see that the exterior shape is pretty much coming together at this point. I think that conceptually the shape of this home took about, I want to say 2 weeks. It actually took me a lot of time. It doesn't seem like it did because you're seeing it in about like 4 minutes, maybe 6 minutes total. But it really, really did take me a long time to figure out a shape that would work, because what I did this time, with it being such a different shape, is I kind of drafted it out off camera a couple of times. And then once I got a shape that I thought would work, I would attempt to do a floor plan, right? Now, this is really important. Maybe this is a lesson that I'm taking into 2023 with me, because I will typically make an exterior and then I'll just try to force a floor plan to work. Sometimes it's okay to take a moment to adjust the exterior to make it work a little bit better for a floor plan that you're thinking of. And it's actually really interesting. Some people, when they build, they will actually draft out a floor plan and then just go with whatever the exterior looks like. Others will do an exterior, make a floor plan work. I mean, I don't know, everybody builds so differently. So this was kind of a fun lesson for me because I just wanted it to be perfect. That was really just my goal. I'm like, I just want this to be the perfect build. I want to be like really proud of this. I want it to be different, like I mentioned. And I just want it to be a little bit more involved than some of my more recent builds. And maybe that's just my perspective too. I don't know. What do you guys think? Like, when you watch a build that's maybe like 20 or 30 minutes long, is the perception on your end that it took like a really long time, or does it seem like it comes together super fast? I'm always very curious as to how things come off, because, for example, so this one, conceptually, the exterior took me about 2 weeks. 2 weeks, and then the interior was so big that it took me maybe another half a week to a week to actually finish. And I did a few other builds in between too, because it becomes really exhausting to do a big build, at least for me, especially if you feel as though you're in any kind of rut, or if you feel like you're doing something repetitively. It makes me want to pull away and be like, okay, if it feels repetitive, let's just take a step back and come back to it with fresh eyes and see how we feel. So this build took me a really long time, which is also why I'm really excited to share it with you all, but it did feel really different from other things that I've done. So hopefully it feels that way for you all and that it doesn't feel repetitive in any capacity. I don't think that I have been in Windenburg for a really long time with a build. When was the last time I was in Windenburg? Was it like the beginning of last year? There's no way. There's got to be a build in between that was in Windenburg, because I love this world. And if not, I'm just shocked. So anyway, I just thought that I would build in Windenburg because I love this world very, very much. And Tudor style homes are actually one of my favorite styles of homes and I just struggle to build them. So when I actually have inspiration strike and I'm like, I really want to do a Tudor style home, I have an idea, I think I can make the shape really cool, I dive all in and I put in so much effort to these homes because they are so unique, and I just really want to make sure that I'm capturing the essence of what this architecture style kind of calls for. So hopefully I did that. But you can see that we're working on the landscaping, which is very, very standard for me. I did use a few different trees and whatnot from the Get Together debug menu, which I can't deny that the landscaping objects from Get Together in the debug menu are some of my favorite. I use those like skinny little trees all the time, but it is very, very green. I also did pops of white with the hydrangeas and some other flowers just because I think it's really complementary with the darker exterior, aside from the paneling up on the second floor, which I did play around, as you can see, with a few different textures for this build, as well as different windows from different packs. I used a few different windows from Cottage Living, I used some from Get Together, and then I used a few different wallpapers or paneling, stone textures, whatever you want to call them, from Get Together as well, to kind of make it, I don't know, just different. That's all I can really say, is I just wanted it to look different, and I just think it fits into this world so nicely. Now I'm hoping that this can be part of my save file, which, you know what, this is a great opportunity to say that I am still working on it. I know the very first version was released probably about a year ago at this point, but I am still working on the next update to it. I don't know when that's going to be coming out, but I did mention that at least the next version will have like clubs and relationships outside of various households. It's kind of a big lift. I would even say it's more of a lift than builds. Like I can't even lie. The builds take time, but I think that establishing relationships outside of a household, especially with cheats or establishing clubs and all that stuff, definitely takes a lot of time as well. So I'm working on all of that. It just takes a bit of energy. But yeah, we're on to the interior, and we have sorted out the floor plan, which, like I said, the first floor especially is huge. It's giant. And the first room that we start with is actually going to be the living space. And I didn't really know what I wanted to go for style-wise. I chose this wallpaper with the paneling from Cottage Living. And that's when I knew, I want to do kind of a darker color scheme, at least with the wood tones in here. I thought this would be a great opportunity to have a quote-unquote standing piano. So I did do that. And I actually went as far as to use the tool mod and these little wood pieces from Cottage Living to kind of cover up some of the plastic parts of this keyboard, because this is the keyboard from City Living, as you all probably already know. And I basically cover it up with these console tables and these little wood pieces to make it look a little bit more like a standing wood piano. Now I did play test it. It works perfectly fine, which was amazing. I was really excited about that. And I thought it looked just a little bit nicer. And I definitely didn't come up with this trick. I don't even remember where I picked it up at this point. But this works great. And I'm just still shocked that we don't have a standing piano in game. Like, I'm genuinely surprised at this point that we don't have one. We have, maybe 2 or 3 different grand pianos, and we have this keyboard, but we haven't gotten like a standing piano yet. And it shocks me every time I come to that realization. And we ended up going for a very kind of green color scheme in here. Surprise, surprise, considering that we chose the green wallpaper that we have, but I thought it was really nice. I think green is not one of my favorite colors at all. And I did play around with a few different colors. I was like, oh, maybe we could go with like some blues and mix them with some pinks and the darker wood tones, but I just wasn't finding a combination I enjoyed. So I stuck with the green. I used this couch from Cats and Dogs, which is, well, one of my favorites. As you all know, I use it quite a lot, and I wish we had more couches like it, especially with all the pillows on it, because it looks so much more welcoming. And then I was thinking, oh, maybe we can go and add like a modern element, but I was struggling, and I knew I wanted to start with the living room though, because it would set the tone for the rest of the build. So I forced my way through it. I did it. I really, really tried. I initially started with these 2 bookcases on each side of the fireplace, and the TV above it. I swapped out the fireplace to see if I liked something better. I used this one as well, but it was just too big. And well, actually, do I end up keeping this? No, I think I actually end up keeping this one. And what I ended up doing is I tried to use cabinets to create like a built-in shelving of some kind, but I ended up just taking these very simple shelves from base game and making some built-in shelving. And then I just put some, I want to say end tables kind of at the bottom of them as well, just because I didn't like the gaps underneath them. There is an armchair in one corner, and in the other, I think there's like the log, like the wood holder or something from the Werewolves game pack on top of the end table, just so you've got some more logs to throw on the fire, though of course there are some that are stored within this fireplace as well. But then I just decorate the heck out of these shelves, and I really liked it. It was just a little bit different. I would typically just put bookcases there, as I was trying to do, but making the custom built-in shelving I thought was really pretty. I thought it was more of a, I can't say modern, but when I say modern, I don't mean in style. I just mean it's more of like a modern accent to this room. Like there are a lot of rustic elements, especially with this fireplace. Like maybe this fireplace was original, but they've like refinished the floors and they put on new paneling to kind of dress up the wallpaper that was there. And then they put in this built-in shelving instead, just to make it a little bit more modernized. It's not a modern style, but it's more of like a modern thing that you might do in a house. I don't know. I'm so excited about this build. I can't find the words, all right? I'm just really excited. I also give them a flat screen TV here, and I did use this one, I think compared to the other one, but I can't really be certain. I was trying to make it look as though it was hanging on the wall, but I think, yeah, I ended up with this one instead. I've been using this one a lot, and I don't know why, but I've been sizing it down because it's huge. And I made it look like it was just hanging and mounted within the fireplace, which would be kind of wild. I don't know if you would do that. But I also added a coffee table here, an end table. I added a plant in the corner with a lamp. And that's when I was thinking, okay, finally, this room is really coming together, and I really, really do like it. I also used a ton of sconces in this build because, as I always say, sconces save lives. If you don't know what to put on the wall and you're running out of artwork, just use a sconce. I swear, works every time. Just do it. That's what I do, and it dresses things up, and I think it looks great. But yeah, this is the little like wood holder that I was talking about. I put it on top of this end table, which I do sink into the floor a little bit, which I kind of liked. I don't know why. And then I just decorate the coffee table ever so slightly, and I decorate on top of the little faux standing piano that I made here. And that's always a challenge because it's made out of 2 console tables, and a lot of items will just clip to it. I did try to use this notebook to make it look like sheet music was sitting and resting on top of there, but some of the notebooks that are kind of underneath it didn't really allow me to do that in the way that I wanted to. So I ended up just decorating the top of this console table here with a couple of, these are technically urns, but let's just forget that because I do put some candles in them. So I made them fancy candle holders. I put this like ship model up here and this other statue because I thought it really fit the look of this build, and it's really pretty, and I like the candles. And I think they'll automatically light. I want to say they're the candles from Eco Lifestyle. So I think they should. Yeah, I think they should light. I also was originally going to try to find like a decal to put on that standing piano to make it look like it was branded, but I ended up not doing that. And then we move on to the dining room, which was pretty much the same size as the living space, maybe a little bit smaller, but I was able to fit this smaller dining table with a place for 6 Sims to be able to sit and have a meal. And it is not very crazily decorated. I used these adorable little corner shelves. I think these are actually from Base Game. They really kind of match the style of this build. And I do that a lot. I love those little corner shelves, and I kind of hope we get more of them. There's one from Cats and Dogs that I really like too. But I added a mirror over here on the wall, and it's a little bit more modern / contemporary compared to, I don't really know what you would consider this style of furnishings from Get Together. I don't want to say medieval because I know that's not right, but I know it's not right, so just don't come for me in the comments. But I really like it. I think a lot of the Get Together stuff for me has a lot of like it has a rustic element to it. I think with the wood not being completely finished, it looks a little bit more rustic to me, especially the windows. So that's what I'm going to go for. But the next room that we work on is going to be the kitchen, which is a very odd shape. You can already tell it's a weird shape, but I really, really enjoyed the kitchen. It had a lot of space, which was wonderful. And that might not be typical for maybe an older Tudor style home. Maybe the kitchen would be a little bit smaller, but I kind of made a galley kitchen. I was going to put an island here to kind of modernize it a little bit, but I ended up not doing that because it looked just a little bit too big for this space. And I was hesitant about putting a breakfast table here because we have like the whole dining table in the other room, but it worked out perfectly. I did add a breakfast table here. And then of course you've got everything you need in the kitchen. You've got your fridge, sink, and oven. I don't think I added a dishwasher, which I have been kind of forgetting lately. And then I sectioned this little area off, and this this really excites me. It's not that exciting because technically there's no functionality with it, but I added an archway and a door, and then I took this gutter from Get Together, and basically I wanted that to be the track for the sliding door. I was trying to make it look like a sliding door to this little pantry area, which I really, really like. So this is kind of a pantry area. There's like a couple of like stacks of boxes with fruits and things. And I think there's a couple of floating shelves with like sacks of sugar and flour from the debug menu, which I thought was really, really cute. I haven't done something like this in a long time. And then I also put the nectar case thing, essentially the wine case thing, to make it look like almost a little wine cellar that's not in the cellar. But basically they keep like their good wines here upstairs for whenever they entertain. I thought it was a really cute idea. Again, there's no functionality to this at all. You can get rid of it if you want to put something else there, but I really enjoyed it and I was really excited about all of the details. I also pulled out this little stool so they could theoretically get up on the stool and get those things off of those floating shelves. It's the more realistic details for me. They get me very, very excited. And here's all the little sacks of flour and sugar and stuff that I put up here. Some of them are a little big, but that's okay. Doesn't matter. And then I originally put a garbage can in there, but I do take it out and put it in the kitchen. And then over in this little weird nook, I do put, I want to say it's the china cabinet thing from Jungle Adventure. I tried with these two from Cottage Living, but they were just overlapping and they looked a little bit funny and the decorations repeated, so I didn't really like that. So I did use this one from Jungle Adventure. I toyed around with some other ones beforehand, but ended up settling on that one because I think it just fit the space best and the wood tones matched, which what more could you ask for, honestly? I also put this shelf from Cottage Living, and then I did shift the garbage can out here and just put another chair in the corner. I don't know why. It was a nice space filler, I suppose. I also hung those aprons on the, even though it's a real door, but kind of the faux door over there. And then I ended up cluttering the kitchen. Now, I didn't go too wild with clutter in the kitchen either. I just wanted a few different details. I did add one floating shelf over here. I added those mugs, of course, from the Everyday Clutter Kit. And I just wanted it to look very put together. I added more clutter over to that Jungle Adventure cabinet because I thought that it made the most sense. I added like a little crock pot and some other little storage containers of maybe some dry goods. I added, of course, some clutter over here by the stove, and as always, left at least one countertop for your Sims to be able to use to prepare any meals. And then we clutter up this little thing, and I love the crock pots from Cottage Living. I always forget about them because they're in almost every single clutter object from Cottage Living. Not every single one, but almost every single one. It's under miscellaneous decorations, which I just don't understand. I'm confused as to what's categorized as a sculpture and what's categorized as just a decoration. Do you know what I mean? I'd have to look closely at the categories, but sometimes I get very confused and I miss a lot of the clutter items that I really enjoy because I forget where they are and I don't go looking for them. I don't know if anybody else does that, but I certainly do that. Now, you know what's very interesting too is when you're looking down the super long, giant hallway with all these archways, it almost looks like you're in a fun house. And I apologize ahead of time, but there was just no way that I could divvy up this floor plan in any other way. And I almost felt like big hallway spaces like this would be very much typical for a house that's this big. I don't know if you all will agree, but we do decorate the front entryway just ever so slightly. I do put another one of those paintings. There's a little love seat. There's a coat rack. And of course, this little like mail storage key organizer hanger thing. And another console table with, I want to say, a mirror above it, as well as some other little clutter items on top, just to have a little bit of a welcoming space. There's also a console table, I want to say kind of tucked at the bottom of the stairs too, with just another lamp because I didn't really know what else to use to decorate these spaces. Like I said, there was so much hallway space. I really didn't know what to do with it. I didn't want it to look unkempt, but I also just didn't know what to do with it at all. So hopefully you guys still like it. But yeah, I really, really did like the entry area. And then we end up moving on to this weird little shaped room, which I really, really liked. This is where the little tower is, the little turret piece. And because it was such a small space, I was like, you know what? I'm going to make it a home office. It's not going to be an extravagant big office or anything like that, but it'll work. It'll work for the space. There's a nice fireplace over here in the corner, and I just put a single desk in here with the little typewriter computer looking thing from Cottage Living. and just put some decorations on the wall, added that hanging plant, and pretty much called it a day. Like, there really wasn't too much to this office space, but I thought it was nice. So maybe one of the parents in this home likes to work from home. I don't know if they're a writer. I always see the typewriter and I'm thinking that they're an author. Maybe they are, maybe they aren't. I have no idea. They do have some credentials and certificates on the wall. So perhaps they're more of a professor, or maybe they, I don't know, contribute to research in some capacity. Just something that makes them basically a lot of money, because this house would be super expensive. And where they would have earned a bunch of credentials that they can hang on their wall. So that could be a plethora of things. I don't know. Oh, I got to just use my favorite word, plethora. Oh, I love that word so much. But yeah, this office is very small, but I thought it was a nice way to use this space. And then we end up just decorating, I want to say, the one bedroom that's downstairs as well as the bathroom. I think there are actually 2 bathrooms on the first floor. I can't recall, but there's at least one full bathroom here. And there is one bedroom down here because I didn't know what else to do with it. It could have been an office, right? But I made it into a kid's room, which I thought was really nice. So there is actually a spare bedroom upstairs, which could be maybe for a set of grandparents if you wanted to make this more of like a generation style home. It could be just a spare room if you had a sim stay over. It could be for a teen that really just doesn't really have any particular interest, because I didn't really decorate it for any particular interest. But this room down here is for a child, and I was thinking that this child wanted to really get into like space and things like that. Like, they're kind of just exploring what their hobbies and their likes are. Now, I wasn't thinking preteen. I'm always thinking preteen when I do kids rooms, like more often than not. But this one I think was really a child. They just really love the color blue, and I thought it really complemented the green wallpaper that was still in here. But I was originally thinking that they were going to really get into science and things like that, but I wasn't able to fit the chemistry station in here or anything really that specific. So I don't know. I didn't really follow through with the full thought of who this child was. I really just wanted the room to be blue because I was really enjoying how it looked. But yeah, I don't know. I think this child is still figuring out exactly what they like. They do have this desk under their lofted bed, which I thought was really nice. They have this pop-up book with the Bigfoot or whatever it's called that came with the little camper's kit, because they also have this little Bigfoot toy. So I don't know, maybe they're really into camping and things like that right now. Maybe they like to go on overnight trips. Maybe they're in scouts. I don't know. I didn't give them the scout board, but I don't know, could be something. And yeah, I don't know. I just think they're a typical kid. They're really just dabbling in a ton of different things to see what they enjoy. And do you know how excited I was to be able to use these curtains? It has like footballs and soccer balls and basketballs and stuff all over it, but I never get to use this blue curtain, so I was really excited to use it here. Now, I do believe that with some object, I can't remember which one, I might block this closet, which to me wasn't a huge deal, because I typically block those closets. However, if there is something blocking it, you can simply remove it if you would like to use it. They also have their own little stereo here. There's a mirror on the wall and just a few toys and knickknacks around. I didn't really clutter up the kids' room that much just because it was such a small space and I didn't want it to look too cramped. It just wasn't the style that I was going for. But then I also added a poster above that little side table and gave them a journal. So there's at least another activity. And then we move on to the second floor where the rest of the bedrooms are, as well as some additional bathrooms. I think there's 2. I think the parents have an ensuite from the primary bedroom, and then there's kind of a bigger bathroom right on the landing area for anyone else to use, especially, a guest, considering that there is a spare bedroom up here. And I think the first room we work on is going to be the parents' room, which I ended up very much enjoying. I was a bit hesitant. I think I've said that like 6 times already in this speed pill, but I was a bit hesitant with it because I wasn't really sure what direction I wanted to go with it. I did end up keeping with the green theme, which I will typically do in a build. If the build itself, like the living space, the kitchen has a theme of a certain color, I might carry that over to the adults' bedroom, like the parents' bedroom more often than not. But then for the kids, I kind of just go nuts because kids like what they like. You don't want to force them into a room that's just decorated like the rest of the house. It should be, in my opinion, they should be able to express their creativity and, kind of express themselves and how it's decorated to an extent. You don't want it to look completely unhinged, but Anyway, this is the parents' room. It's kind of an odd layout, but I think it worked really nicely. They've got the dresser in the corner over there, that weird little bump out. They do have a walk-in closet as well. And even though the bed looks kind of cramped in this space, it works perfectly. My test sim was able to get to both sides of the bed, which was perfect. There's also an armchair, and then to the left there is going to be their ensuite bathroom. And it's a bigger open space here, which I kind of enjoyed. I didn't want the parents' room to be super duper cramped like the kids' rooms. I mean, granted, the kids are going to age up and it might feel a little bit more cramped as they're like a teen and things like that, but I just wanted the parents to have the bigger space here. I also cluttered up the dresser with like a little makeup thing, the little glasses and watch holder from the Everyday Clutter kit because it's a great kit. And then we end up trying, and I mean trying, to decorate this room here. And to reiterate, I was thinking of a teen's room at first, but since I kind of struggled with coming up with an idea, I did think about having a small little tiny nursery in that room over there. So I placed the bassinet first. I toyed around with beds and everything in the other room and just couldn't find anything I liked. So I ended up moving back to the nursery and configuring that and getting that situated, which I did enjoy. I think it will be a bit cramped once this baby becomes a child. As a toddler, it should be fine too, but you might still have to kind of reconfigure some things. But I thought it was a really cute nursery. I did hesitate on the bassinet. I love this one from the Werewolves game pack, but it looks distressed and it has scratches on it and stuff, and it just wasn't fitting the style I was going for. So I did change it over to this one from Realm of Magic, which I find it so curious that we got one with the Realm of Magic, we got one with the Vampire game pack, and we got one with the Werewolves game pack. But we've gotten no other kinds of bassinets since. Oh, and the one from Get to Work with the alien babies. But that's it. So it seems like we have a different bassinet for each occult, but like why don't we get bassinets in other related packs like Parenthood? Like why wouldn't we have got one Parent? Do you know what I mean? Like I just think about these things sometimes where I'm like, why did you take an object slot to give us a bassinet but not something else? I don't know. I can't really articulate it. I'd have to go into extraneous detail, which I'm not going to do. But anyway, I really liked this room. It is a bit cramped because it is so small, but I think it was very fitting for a nursery. It's got all of these cute little details that really, tell you that it's for a baby or at least a toddler or maybe soon to be toddler. And now I was trying to toy around with this room to make it a teen room. And now looking at it, I actually kind of really liked that bed. And I don't know why I didn't just go with it. It's so funny. So what I do, I was explaining this to my husband the other day. Sometimes what I'll do, I don't know if anybody else does this, but I will watch back my own builds, not out of this sense of like, I'm so proud of this, but I try to watch it back and remove the lens, in my head that is saying like, this is your build, you're critiquing it. Sometimes I try to watch my builds as if they are not mine to see if I like some of the decisions that I was making design-wise that I ended up not going with. Do you know what I mean? Like I try to learn from my own internal blocks, if that makes any sense. And I saw that bed there from Discovery University. I actually really liked it. I don't know why I didn't just stick with it. Anyway, this is the spare room, and it is very plainly decorated because it is a spare room. So if you'd like to change it up, you absolutely can. But I thought it was kind of nice. And again, maybe it could be a grandparent's room or something too. But then we end up moving on to the landing space, and then we decorate the last bathroom. So I hope you guys enjoyed this one. I can't wait to hear your thoughts, and I will catch you next time I post a video, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.
To flee from this all. feet off the ground, left me on the floor. Hard to resist, got me looking like this, like no one